Hello everyone. We are often asked this question: what are the real life practical applications of mathematics? Of course, there are many applications, and today I'm going to discuss something that's very relevant to the current situation. Yes, I'm going to talk about various mathematical modeling techniques that applies COVID-19. First, let's see the basic exponential growth model. It's a specific way that a quantity or population increases over time. If I express this mathematically, I end up getting a differential equation, that is dn by dt is equal to r into n, where n is the population and r is the growth rate. That is, the rate of change in the population with respect to t is equal to r times n. I'm saying that it's proportional to itself. So in exponential growth, this r is positive. In case if r is negative, I will call it as an exponential decay, and carbon dating is an example for the same. So coming back to exponential growth, here the population grows faster as it gets larger. And now coming to logistic growth. Here of course you can see the increase in growth in the beginning period, but at a later stage the growth either may sustain or it may decrease when it gets closer to a maximum value. That we call it as a logistic growth. So in logistic growth, a population's per capita growth rate gets smaller as the population approaches a maximum value because of the limited resources in the environment. That we call it as a carrying capacity K. If you see this graphically, this is the graph of exponential curve. It keeps on growing. X-axis is the time and y-axis is the population size. Whereas in logistic growth, the solution is slightly different. It keeps on growing, but once it reaches this capacity K, either it's going to sustain or it may decrease. For example, if an island resources can hold up to 1,000 people, when the population grows beyond 1,000, people may starve and die. So this is a maximum rate. So it can support only 1,000 people. So if it goes above that, people are going to die and the growth rate will not be the same. So it won't be keep on growing. So this is logistic growth. Now let's see the current scenario. Say if one person gets infected because of COVID and he is spreading the infection to 3 more people over here. So these individuals again spreading the infection to another set of 3 people and so on. This chain is continuous. So if one infect more than one person, then the infection, of course, obviously it will grow. If P is the probability of infection and if K is the average number of contact, then P times K, that is P into K, is the average number of secondary infection rate. So that we call it as R0. So R0 is nothing but the average of new infected in every step, or we can call it as in every node. So after n step, this R0 power n will become P into K power n. This R0 is nothing but the basic reproductive ratio. So if R0 is greater than 1, the average number grows geometrically, we'll say. If it's less than 1, it shrinks geometrically. So over a period of time t, this geometric growth will turn into an exponential growth. So far we have seen exponential growth and logistic growth. And we are going to see 3 more models, that is SI model, SIS model and SIR model. Out of these 3, the SIR model is the one that suits the COVID model. So first let's see SI model. This is a very simple model. So far in exponential growth we got only one differential equation and we solved it, correct? So now we have 2 things, that is S and I we have. S is nothing but the number of susceptibles and I is nothing but the number of infected people. So S plus I together gives the total population N. So beta is nothing but the transmission rate and or the infection rate we can say, and here the number of transmitting contacts per unit time in that case will become 1 by beta. So we are going to have 2 differential equations, that is the change in I am going to talk about and the change in S also. So the change in I is represented as di by dt. This is nothing but beta times S into I. Why we are multiplying these two? Initially, it's like if this is the total population, I denotes the number of infectives and S denotes the number of susceptibles. Initially, very few will be infected. S will be more. So after a period of time, this number of infected people will become more and S will become less. So when the infection rate will become higher, when there is more interaction between this I and S. So S into I into beta. Beta is nothing but the transmission rate. So that is why we have written di by dt is beta into S of t into I of t. And ds by dt is negative of beta into S of t into I of t. Why so? More the interactions, the people will move from susceptibles to infected. So we are getting a negative. So if it's decreasing, then I will write it in terms of negative. It's like as I told you, in the beginning the normal people will be more. So in course of time, the number of infected people will become more and S will become less. So that is why we have written a negative sign here. So this is di by dt and this is ds by dt. And of course we have initial conditions, right? At a given time t, initially these many peoples are infected, I naught. So and these many peoples are susceptible, that is S naught. So these are the initial conditions. So we have got two differential equations, and if I solve these equations, I'll get the solution. And the solution looks like this. So the graph starts from I naught and it's growing, and if you see that, obviously it's a logistic growth function. So it is not an exponential. Exponential means it will grow like this. It will keep on growing. So this is a logistic growth. As I told you already, S will be more in the beginning, and S at one point of time S and I will be equal, and towards the end S will become less. So this is the concept of SI model. And the second model is SIS. That is, susceptibles will become infected people. So infected people may recover, but after the recovery, again they are prone to the same disease. So in this case, we can call it as a no immune model. Since definitely this no immune model will not suit the current COVID-19, so I'm not going to discuss much about it. But I want to discuss about the graph of this, the solution graph. So if beta greater than gamma, this is how the graph will be. So it will grow and sustain. If beta is less than gamma, this is how the graph will be. It's like beta less than gamma means if the recovery exceeds the infection rate, automatically the disease will go away. So the pattern is decreasing. So this is SIS model. Now coming to the main model, that is SIR model. This SIR model is nothing but the immune model. That is, if you see, many people are susceptible in the beginning, right? Infected people will be 1 or 2. The rest of the population belongs to S category. After the interaction between S and I, we are going to the next one, that is infected category. And from the infected category, people are getting recovered. So either recovered or removed. Removed means the number of people who died because of COVID. And so this R category contains both removed as well as recovered. So beta is nothing but the transmission rate and gamma is nothing but the recovery rate. If you see this, more the interaction between S and I, many people will move from S category to I category. So beta times SI. And the recovery rate is gamma. So gamma times I, these people will move to R region. So any mathematical model, if you take, first we will look into the assumptions and the initial conditions. Here the assumption is the population remains a constant. I am checking over a short period of time. So I'll assume that the population remains constant in this period, and the rate of increase in infectives is proportional to the contact between S and I. Obviously, it's directly proportional to S and I. That's why we have written beta into Si. Same thing we did in SI model also. Now, we'll get three differential equations because we have S, I, R. Change of S with respect to T, change of I with respect to T, and change of R with respect to T. So now let's study in detail about these three. So first I will talk about di by dt. Di by dt is nothing but beta into Is minus gamma I. Why I have written like this? If you see the diagram, this infected category, from S category, people will move to infected category if S and I contact. Correct? So beta into Si, more the number of interactions, S will move to I. So that is why we have written beta Is. And from the infected people, I am removing the recovered people. So that is why di by dt is beta Is minus gamma I. Now, gamma is the recovery rate. So rate of change of recovery with respect to time is gamma I. So this is the second differential equation. And the third one is ds by dt is negative of beta Is. Why there is a negative sign? Beta is the transmission rate, and the more the contact between I and S, the number of susceptibles are going to become lesser in number. That is, it's going to decrease. That is why we have a negative sign. Let's see an example for this negative value of beta. If the total population is 100 and if 2 people got infected, then there is 98 will belong to the susceptible category. 2 are there in the infected category. Now again, these 2 will transfer the disease to 2 more people individually. So in that case, total number of infectives will become 6 and the total number of susceptibles will reduce from 98 to 92. Now you can see that the S value is decreasing. That is why we have a negative sign. So we got 3 differential equations, and coming to the initial condition, initially S is equal to S naught is nothing but the initial number of susceptibles, and of course it's going to be on the higher side, and I is equal to I naught. In the same example you can see this I naught is nothing but 2, S naught is nothing but 98, and R is the initial number of recovered or removed people. No one is there in the R category, that is why R is equal to 0. And since S plus I plus R is a constant, the derivative of a constant is 0. Now instead of solving these differential equations, let's try to find out answer for some common questions. First question, what will the disease spread? We have got ds by dt as a negative value. Since the rate of change is negative, S is less than or equal to S naught. If I plug in this value, we get di by dt less than I into beta of S naught minus gamma. Just I have changed the value S to S naught and the inequality changed. That's it. If this constant is positive, then the disease will spread. That is, if beta of S naught minus gamma greater than 0. In other way, we can say if S naught greater than gamma by beta, then the disease will spread. Let's take Q is equal to beta by gamma, that is the ratio of infected over recovered people. And if I take this beta to the other side and gamma down, beta into S naught by gamma is equal to R naught, and R naught is nothing but the reproductive number or reproductive ratio. It is the number of secondary infection caused by the primary infection. Even you can Google the R naught value. And it's an epidemic if R naught is greater than 1. That is, one person on an average spread the disease to another person. For normal seasonal flu, this R naught value will be somewhere between 1.5 to 2. And initially they said R naught varies from 2 to 3 for this COVID-19, and now they are saying that it varies from 3 to 4. So on an average, one person is infecting 3 to 4%. That is what they are saying. Actually, we can reduce this R naught value by reducing the beta value. Beta value is nothing but the transmission rate. And we can reduce the transmission rate by wearing mask or frequent hand wash or social distancing and all those things. And we can reduce S naught by finding vaccination and all. So we got answer for this first question, and the second question is, what will be the maximum number of infected people at a particular time? So if the moment you see the word maxima, then you can try to connect to the concept of maxima and minima. For answering this question, I need di by ds, and di by ds is nothing but di by dt by ds by dt. We've got these two values. I've just substituted and simplified. If you cancel these two terms, I'll get -1, and the second term will become gamma by beta s, and if I simplify further down, I'll get this. Just replace q, that's it. And it's a very simple differential equation, and I can integrate and get the answer. So if I integrate ds, I'll get s, and 1 by s, I'll get a log. Of course, it's a natural logarithm. And this is the solution. I'll get the maximum value if I replace di by ds is equal to 0. If you remember, in maxima minima, we'll equate the derivatives to 0. Why? Because the slope at the maximum point, for example, if this is the maximum point, slope at this point will be definitely equal to 0. Same for the minima also. Slope at this point will become 0. So that's the first check, and then we'll go for second derivative to discuss even further. I'm going to replace di by ds to 0. Then by simplifying it, I got s is equal to 1 by q. Hence, I'm saying that if I substitute this value in I, I'll get I max. And coming to our differential equation di by dt, this is nothing but I into beta s minus gamma, and if I integrate it, I'll get I in terms of t. And this is a simple integration, and we get I is equal to e power beta s minus gamma of t. If I plug in these values, again it looks like an exponential curve. And if you see the current COVID infected rate, it is like still increasing. But it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be an exponential curve. All I'm saying is it's going to be a logistic growth, and definitely it won't increase in the same trend. It's going to sustain over a period of time. And this is another graph for a particular value of beta, that is beta is 0.25 and gamma is 3. Of course, beta is nothing but the transmission rate and gamma is the recovery rate. And this is the pattern of infected people. So it's going to increase and then it's going to reduce. And this is number of susceptibles. Of course, it's on the higher side in the beginning and it's going to reduce. And this is number of recovered. Now we just want to flatten this curve, because we can see that at one point almost 60% of the population got infected at the same time, and it's really practically very tough to handle. So all we have to do is we have to flatten this curve. And if you see this diagram, second diagram, this red curve got flattened because the same graph, we change the value from the infection rate 2.5 to 0.75. Initially in the first graph, infection rate was 2.5 and recovery rate was 0.3. Now the infection rate we changed from 2.5 to 0.75. Here in the second graph, we can see that infected group maximum is much less critical, and also the susceptibles group, it didn't drop all the way down to 0. Okay, so which means that there is still a certain percentage of population that never come across the disease at all. So although it's a simplified model of real world phenomenon, it captures almost the dynamics that governs the system, and also the highlights the importance of preventive measurements currently in place. So let's try to reduce the R0 value by our best practices. Thank you.